Want to see more cool videos on our channel? We do, so press this bell and enable to send notifications.
Unlike other planets in our solar system, Earth supports vast and diverse amount of life. Its protective atmosphere, position in the solar system, magnetic field, recycling and liquid water are the elements that make Earth so perfect for life. But different locations on Earth have different environments, and not everywhere on this planet is so habitable for life. Number 10. Hottest place on Earth. Be prepared and pack a full survival kit for Death Valley. This may sound dramatic, but California's killer desert is an extreme environment, and those ill-equipped risk paying the ultimate price. There are countless dangers in Death Valley, with rattlesnakes, scorpions and black widow spiders prowling the desert floor, and abandoned mine shafts and tunnels that are hidden from sight. But the greatest peril here is the extreme temperature. But quite simply, Death Valley is hot. The highest ambient air temperature ever recorded here was at Furnace Creek in 1913, when scientists took a reading of 56.7 degrees Celsius, while surface temperatures have been known to exceed 93 degrees Celsius. Drought is constant, the summers long, and the risks significant. Those visiting are advised to avoid hiking in the heat, to pack sufficient water, and to look out for signs of trouble, with dizziness, nausea, and headaches pointing to problems for those not used to the extreme conditions. Number 9. Driest place on Earth. Stretching from southern Peru to northern Chile, the Atacama Desert is the driest place on Earth. The Atacama Desert sits between the Andes and Chilean coastal range at such a height that prevents moisture reaching it from the Pacific or Atlantic Oceans. It receives less than 1 millimeter of rainfall per year, and some parts of the desert have no recorded rainfall at all. This extreme ecosystem of the Atacama makes survival difficult for animals. However, red scorpions, grey foxes, desert wasps and butterflies are among the species able to cope with the dry environment. You can also find penguins, sea lions and pelicans near the Pacific side. Surprisingly, around 1 million people call the Atacama Desert home. This is a place that's often compared to Mars, a land used as a location for science fiction films and a training ground for those keen to learn more about space's final frontier. Number 8. Coldest place on Earth. The sun often shines at Vostok Station, but don't be fooled. This is a harsh environment renowned for being cold. The lowest natural temperature ever recorded on Earth, minus 89.2 degrees Celsius, was taken here. Extreme indeed. This is not a place to be underestimated. There are few people to be found at this remote Russian research station, established in 1957 and still manned today, with 25 scientists and engineers based here during the short summer months and just 13 brave souls remaining in winter when temperatures plummet and survival becomes a significant challenge. Located at the so-called southern pole of cold, and not far from the southern pole of inaccessibility, the extremes here should come as no great surprise. Bare and barren with nothing to see on the horizon, and life all but non-existent, Vostok Station presents countless challenges for those based in the no-frills buildings here. Extreme and intense, this is not a place to top up your tan. Number 7. Wettest place on Earth. Deep in India's northeast, villagers use grass to soundproof their huts from deafening rain. Clouds are a familiar sight, and a suitably rusted sign tells visitors they're in the wettest place on Earth. Oddly enough, lifelong residents of Mawsynram, a small cluster of hamlets in Meghalaya state, have little idea that their scenic home holds a Guinness record for the highest average annual rainfall of 11,873 millimeters or 467 inches. Those who live here are used to such conditions with the traditional Khasi umbrellas, known as knops, and crafted from bamboo and banana leaves, a familiar sight. Those just passing through find it a rather different matter, however, with one visit to Mawsynram often proving enough. Boasting a subtropical highland climate, Mawsynram's unique environment provides constant challenges for those accustomed to living beneath a cloud. Wet and wild and always extreme, don't expect to see the sun here. Number 6. Flattest place on Earth. Travelers often seek out the world's most dramatic landscapes, the unearthly karst formations of southern China, the stark beauty of Iceland, the dizzying canyons of the American Southwest. But what about the least dramatic landscape? Someplace with no ups or downs whatsoever. You'd have to go to remote central Bolivia to find the world's largest salt flat, Salar de Uyuni. Salar de Uyuni extends over 4,000 square miles in the Altiplano region, nearly 12,000 feet above sea level. Everything there is just otherworldly. The smell of sulfur, the profound silence, the thin air, the magically bright colors. When you're in the middle of it, you can turn yourself 360 degrees and see nothing but the horizon. Formed from the remnants of prehistoric lakes, it's a seemingly endless expanse of white salt, punctuated by few rocky cactus-studded outcrops and occasionally small piles of salt. In the rainy season, the landscape is transformed to a shallow lake that reflects with still startling clarity the sky above. Number 5. World's longest place name. Every world traveller knows the struggles of trying to fit into a foreign country's culture. It requires remembering local customs, practicing appropriate etiquette, and perhaps the most challenging, learning to speak like a local. But if you visit the North Island of New Zealand, there's one word that no local will give you a hard time about mispronouncing. In fact, they often shorten it themselves. Ready? It's Tomatawa Katangi Ahanga Kuoa Tamate Aturi Poka Kapiki Maonga Ho Onuku Pakai Wenu Akitana Tahu. That's embarrassing. This 1,000-foot hill near the township Porongahau holds the Guinness World Record for longest place name with 85 characters. Locals call it Taumata or Taumata Hill. It roughly translates to the summit where Taumatea, the man with the big knees, the slider, climber of mountains, the land swallower who travelled about, played his nose flute to his loved one. There are, perhaps unsurprisingly, variations in the spelling. This version, boasting 85 characters, is recognised by Guinness World Records, although a longer form, this one, 105 letters long, also exists. Number 4. Windiest place on Earth. Whether you enjoy being blown about and are at one with the blustery elements, or you'd prefer the wind to calm down a little, there are places on Earth which are notoriously windy, and there's no getting away from that. Commonwealth Bay is an approximately 60-kilometre wide bay which is known as one of the windiest places on the planet. The strength of the winds here can be explained by the half-moon form of the bay. Streams of air are squeezed together and are then forced to flow faster. The Guinness Book of World Records and National Geographic Atlas have both listed this bay in Antarctica as the windiest place on the planet. Katabatic winds in Commonwealth Bay are recorded at over 150 miles per hour on a regular basis, and the average annual wind speed is 50 miles per hour. The storms are worse during the winter months, and although the resident penguins seem content enough, we don't recommend Commonwealth Bay as a destination on your travel bucket list. Number 3. Farthest point from Earth's centre. You might think that Mount Everest is the highest point on the planet. You'd be mistaken. That honour in fact goes to Chimborazo, a stratovolcano in the Andes that few people outside of Ecuador have even heard of. This might sound far-fetched, such as Everest's awe-inspiring altitude, but science has ruled that Chimborazo is the highest. This anomaly is due to the fact that the Earth is not a perfect sphere. The planet is in fact an oblate ellipsoid, a misshapen circle that's flatter at the poles and that bulges at the equator. This means that measured from the centre of the Earth, rather than from sea level as is traditional, Chimborazo's snow-capped summit, standing tall at 6,263 metres, is technically higher than Everest's. This makes it Earth's closest point to outer space and a location that beckons those drawn to extreme places. Number 2. World's deepest cave. With a staggering depth of 2,197 metres, or 7,208 feet, Kribera Cave is the deepest known cave in the world. To put that in perspective, imagine 6.5 Eiffel Towers stacked on top of each other, underground. Considered the Everest of caves, the vast cavern, also known as Veronia or Veronia Cave, is located in the Arabica Massif. Arabica Massif is on the edge of the Black Sea in Abkhazia, a region that borders Georgia. Since its discovery in 1960, explorers and scientists have attempted to descend deeper and deeper into the cave, thus setting new records each time. In 2001, Kribera Cave officially became the deepest cave known to man. The massive cave has an explored depth of 1,710 metres or 5,610 feet, beating the Lamprechthofen by 80 metres. 3 years later, the cave also became known as the only cave on Earth that's deeper than 2,000 metres. Before moving on to number 1, here are a few honourable mentions. Lying 430.5 metres below sea level, the Dead Sea's surface and shores count as the Earth's lowest point of elevation. It's also the deepest hypersaline lake in the world, another notable boast that marks this out as an extreme place indeed. One thing is certain about Bishop Rock, it's impossible to get lost here. Located in the turbulent Atlantic Ocean, 4 miles west of the remote Isles of Scilly, this is the smallest island on Earth that's able to boast a building. The majestic lighthouse, measuring 49 metres from top to bottom, the so-called King of Lighthouses, is the joint tallest in England. Everything else here is tiny. About 22.78 million international overnight travellers head to Bangkok on an annual basis, making the Thai capital the most visited city on the planet. Tristan da Cunha is the most remote inhabited archipelago on Earth. There's nowhere better for anyone seeking solitude. Just 250 people live a quiet life here in the South Atlantic Ocean. The nearest neighbours? Trust us on this one, there's no need to give them a second thought. With St Helena 1,343 miles away, South Africa 1,500 miles, and the shores of the Falkland Islands 2,166, you couldn't be more cut off. Dalol in northern Ethiopia is the hottest inhabited place in the world. Between the years 1960 and 1966, the record high annual temperature of 35 degrees Celsius for inhabited places marked in Dalol. Other than the sun, the boiling acids from hot springs and natural exhaust of Earth's gases make Dalol the hottest occupied area in the world. Number 1. The world's tallest waterfall. Angel Falls, located in the Bolivar province of Venezuela, not only claims the distinction of being the highest waterfall in the world at an astonishing 3,212 feet tall, or 979 meters, but it also has the single highest plunge in the world. After a short drop of about 100 feet, Angel Falls drops 2,648 feet off a flat-topped plateau known as Oyon Tepui, or Devil's Mountain. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please let me know by clicking the like button, do share, write a comment, and don't forget to subscribe so that you can catch up my next video.